Howdy, Aggs. Welcome to Aggie Growth Hacks, the podcast sponsored by the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M, where we're dedicated to helping entrepreneurs improve their business, connect with other Aggie entrepreneurs, and support one another. I'm your host, Greg Martin, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2001.
And I'm your co-host, Chris Hunter, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1998. Whoop!
Well, we got a little story for you, Aggs. Bret Redfearn, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2017, is the founder and owner of Aggieland Christmas Lights. Bret started his company in true entrepreneur's fashion, taking his love for exterior illumination and channeling his inner Griswold to creating a company that is obsessed about Christmas lights all year round, despite what your HOA thinks about it.
So pass it back and listen up to Bret as he shares some really good bulb.
Well, Bret, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Aggie Growth Hacks. Super excited to have you join us, but really super excited to be able to drop this episode this week because for Ags that you don't know, this is dropping the second week of January of 2024, and during this time, it's the winter cohort of the Texas A&M McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship Entrepreneur Bootcamp for Veterans, sponsored by Reynolds & Reynolds. And if you listen to Aggie Growth Hacks at all, you've heard us talk about EBV a lot. But Bret, we actually met this last cohort. And so he's got such a great company, such a great story. We wanted to have him on Aggie Growth Hacks. Bret, thank you so much for finding time and joining us today.
Well, thank you, Chris and Greg, for having me on. I'm super excited.
Well, we are in your busy season. So your Aggieland Christmas Lights. So this is your go time. But this isn't your first journey into entrepreneurship. So tell us a little bit about your entrepreneur journey. What do you do? How did you get into this market, and how did this business get created?
Oh, man, it's kind of hard to figure out where to start. A lot of people, including myself, have always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit, from starting as a kid to, mowing lawns, doing carpentry, up to different construction. And so we didn't have a plan for it. It just kind of happened organically to where here I was on my own house, doing my own lights, because I'm a DIY kind of guy. And while I'm on the roof, I probably had 2 or 3 people stop by and say, "Hey, can I get your card? Can I help? Can I get your help, please?" And
like literally, did you help them that year, or did you build the business and then the next year, or?
Oh no! So we literally just helped them like that week. That hopped on the roof and figured it out. And since then, about 4 or 5 years ago, it's just evolved, and we've got more professional, more systems in place, and just kind of grown, not necessarily say just Christmas lights, but as a brand total, and just trying to keep growing this thing.
So I want to dig in on that a little bit, right? So what's like the favorite type of lights that you guys get requested for, the most?
It's always a house divided kind of question, because husband wants one color, wife wants the other. The lights come on before or after Thanksgiving. Now, some people might want them up all year round. I don't know that HOA proofs, but hey, I'm all for it. But warm white, man, that is probably our go-to, warm white or like a candy cane theme. And but it's a typical C9 bulb that just goes right on the roof. I'll tell you, this year we did drop a new product that is color changing from your phone, and you tap it, so literally you can pick and choose any color you want. And so we started installing those, like say October timeframe, so people can just change from Halloween lights to Christmas. And so we'll see how it kind of goes over the next couple of years.
Is that one of the trends that you're kind of seeing in the lighting industry? Because that makes sense. If I can just sit there and program it on my app, my phone, maybe I want to celebrate 4th of July with the red, white, and blue, something like that.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of you guys have probably already seen, like, there's a lot of permanent lighting and stuff coming out. And so the Christmas lighting industry created their own, kind of bulb that to try to help compete with that, because how do you compete with something that's you set it and forget it? And so that's just where we're at with that.
So what's the coolest setup that you've ever done for a house?
So we've got several houses that just, they ball out, like 6, 7, 8 wreaths, full lights, columns that are wrapped, kind of throw up Christmas, but in a classy, tasteful way, I would say. It's not Clark Griswold style. It's very elegant and very professional.
Were those houses also the hardest ones that you had? I mean, because like some of the roofs have got to be like super steep and you can't get up to it, just from a ladder.
Just think about the just different progressions that we've had from starting out to the houses that we're doing now. We probably do some of the most difficult houses in, say, Bryan College Station that have the craziest, steepest pitches and different roof types. And so just evolving and getting to be able to do that and do it safely and provide that kind of quality is just, man, I don't know, not to toot our own horn, but there's not a whole lot of competitors that will do it the way that we do it. Definitely challenging.
So do you do those houses that like go with the music and you've got all these different things going on, or is it just a traditional, light? Have you been requested to set up one of those scenes?
Right. So we can do those kind of automated systems. Those kind of come in with a package that we can set up. Traditionally, just the standard, simple lights are what is probably our best seller. Very traditional and typical classic Christmas feeling. That's what people are really, that's just our bread and butter.
How did you operationally go from you on a ladder putting up your own Christmas lights to having this company? I mean, so that first year, or maybe the second season that you were into, like during that year, did you incorporate? Did you hire somebody? Did you start to build out systems? Did you explore what lights to use, or was that just all kind of on the fly? Hey, you need these lights put up, let's roll.
Right. Yeah. So originally, man, it was back in the day of like incandescent lighting, which anybody that hangs lights or has just been around for a long time, like you can only put a certain amount of strands on one outlet. So you're having power cords all over the house, this and that. And so when we first started, we were hanging other people's lights and fighting that debacle of just cords everywhere and just burnout bulbs, this and that. And I said, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I started doing the research and kind of found out what the pros are using and where to get them, how to sign them up. And we took some training. And so now what we do is offer LED lighting, and it's great. We love it. We'll never go back to incandescent ever again. And honestly, the life cycle of the incandescent Christmas light bulb is it's gone away. It's going to become obsolete. It's going to be really hard to find in the next couple of years. They're actually phasing that out.
Well, and there's so many reasons for that. One being that you just use way less energy for the most part, I would think, and for the other facts that you can have the different colors, I would imagine, right?
Right.
So, Greg mentioned, and I think I did meet you at EBV, this past year. What did you get out of the entrepreneurial boot camp for veteran? What was your biggest takeaway when you went through that?
The biggest takeaway from that, I would say, would probably be the networking opportunity. A lot of people talk about Texas A&M and the power of the Aggie ring, the network, and it is 100% true. Being an Aggie, when I first came, I was kind of a 2%er, so I didn't really, join in on saying howdy, this and that. I was a little bit older student, kind of like Billy Madison, sitting at a little desk, but being a military veteran, you're a little bit older, and so it took me a while to really embrace that culture and start kind of getting involved in networking. But I actually had EBV reach out to me and just say, hey, this is a perfect opportunity for you guys. So we did that whole week-long course. And that was just the in-house portion. Other than that, you're going through several months of like designing your business plan, really laying it out, prepping. I'd say the biggest thing overall was just putting it out there on paper, planning. This thing has just kind of been unorganized chaos, and it's been successful. But I was so focused on just working in the business and not on the business. They really helped define, okay, here's some goals, just a roadmap to what you're going to do, how you're going to get there. And I think that's super important for any business.
Well, Bret, as you talked about that, you kind of glossed over it really quickly, your military experience. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the military, and then how did your time in service prepare you for entrepreneurship?
So first of all, I'd say, but both of you guys served, right?
Correct. Yep.
Awesome.
Worked on this jet right behind
you guys for your service. So I was a Navy Seabee and based out of Gulfport, Mississippi for 5 years, did 3 deployments all overseas, and graduated class of 2017. And, when I started this business, I'd say my military service kind of prepared me, because when you're in the military, it's always like you're unsure of the next move, even though you can plan it, but you got to be able to think on the fly, run on the fly, operate with what you don't have. So kind of operating a business very lean, I would say, has kind of been one of the things I've learned, is just kind of take the punches and roll, and that's it.
Well, and I think that's something that we've heard over and over from the veterans that have been on, and that we've had experience as well, is that adapt and improvise and overcome, is that you've got to do that as an entrepreneur. One last question about the EBV. What was you said the networking was super critical. Talking about the different classes, the different lectures they kind of came in, was there one that you really said, okay, this had a major light bulb moment, pardon the pun, go on in your mind and say this right here is worth the price of admission, which is free, by the way, for all you veteran ags out there.
Oh, yeah. So anybody listening, man, I would highly encourage, especially if you're a veteran, get involved in that EBV. It's awesome. Lots of good information. The public guys and gals that come out and talk to you, man, they're gonna just brain dump. There was a couple different, I say, classes that really hit home for me, that really sank. One of them is it David Flint? He has, a course that he talks about kind of knowing your value and what you bring to the table. He's even got a book about it. And so that was one thing. It's like, okay, what is your value? What are you bringing your clients? So I kind of had to transform. Like, I'm not just installing, say, Christmas lights. We're providing more than that. We're providing a service, customer service, safety, high quality products. It's not necessarily about only the product, but about developing that relationship with the client. Not what you do, it's how you do it. One of the other things I would say, there was a lady who did some marketing stuff, and she was talking about entrepreneurship and wearing a lot of hats. Man, entrepreneurship is tough, especially, I don't care if you went and studied business at A&M or Harvard. They don't teach you how to run a business. They teach you typical terms and definitions and theories. There's a lot that goes into it. So wearing these different hats of learning about payroll, taxes, insurance, different things like that, man, kind of really opened my eyes up. And I've got a newfound appreciation, I'd say, for business owners and employers.
Absolutely. I mean, as an entrepreneur of 23 years, I think at this point, yeah, I can definitely say I've worn all hats. I've done every single hat that is imaginable in any kind of endeavor. So yeah, for sure. So let me ask you, what's been the biggest challenge with your companies from startup until now?
I'd say the biggest challenge for us since when we start 2019 would be obviously keeping solid labor, kind of on hand, because this is a seasonal business, and we're not doing landscape or pest control or anything throughout the years. This is all we do, and so we hire slow and train our guys. And I'd say just finding the right people has been a tough challenge. We're very fortunate to have 6 or 7, 8 people that are just, man, they're rock stars, and couldn't do it without them. The other thing would be materials procurement. Costs of raw materials and goods they're always changing, going up. And so for most clients, you guys only think about Christmas, say 1-2 months out of the year. This is a year-round thing for us, because as soon as the season's over, we're looking for other, vendors, other suppliers, trying to get this stuff imported from overseas. Containers get held up at port, customs. It's not just 2 or 3 months for us. It's a year-round thing. So we put a lot of involvement into it. So just constantly learning.
So Bret, what is your business model, in the sense that, like, if you're going to come hang lights for me, do I buy the lights and then you store them year after year and you just come and put them up? Do you own the lights and I just lease them from you? how does that actually work?
So we can do it both ways. We prefer the leasing method because we're going to be coming out anyways. It's part of that service and that experience. But yeah, you can buy them and then we'll put them up. You'll store them, hang on to them, or we can do the leasing method where we're going to handle everything from A to Z. Really, our goal is to get our customers. We don't want them to put themselves at risk. Don't want them to have to worry about getting tangled up in some lights. And so, I would say one of our goals is just before they even decide to maybe pick up a ladder and do it themselves, just pick up the phone and call us. That way, we're going to handle it. You can look at our reviews. You can talk to our past clients, anything from lights, timers, issues, even like water spigot covers. Like, we had the freeze, like, I guess, last 2 years. One of the things that we kind of do is just like take care of our customers is put a little faucet cover on there. So it's more than just lights. We develop those relationships and just do little things like that to go kind of above and beyond for our clients.
That's awesome. Love that. So where are you going with Aggieland Christmas Lights? I mean, what's your big, hairy, audacious goal? We ask this on every single episode, but it's a hard question to answer sometimes, right? But where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years with this business? Right.
So before EBV, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was like, what the heck is a BHAG? And then that's always a tough question, and especially looking at 10 years, because a lot of businesses don't even survive, 1 to 5 years already. But I would say we want to build our brand. We don't want to be just a fly-by-night contractor. We don't want to be a handyman service. Somebody's going to come in once a year, hang your lights. We want you as a customer for life. And so our goal is to build our brand and increase our footprint in terms of location, increase our diversity in terms of different types of lighting and product that we can bring our clients. Really just go from being just a seasonal provider to something that's all year round, And I think that's ultimately where we want to take it. Maybe even provide some of our own product.
That's such a growth BHAG, because really for you to crack that seasonal code and to be able to do that, and other companies have done it, like you said, through landscaping or pest control. But is this something that as you were exploring different opportunities, are you just simply assessing, hey, this is what me and my team can do? How do you make sure that it fits with the team that you have and the operational systems that you have in place?
Like I said, it's always been unorganized chaos. Organized chaos.
Organized chaos.
Maybe a bit of both. And so, ultimately, we want to grow, put more systems in place, grow our team. Some of the guys that we do have on staff right now that we're looking at pushing them up further up the ladder and really kind of widening out our reach and having different areas that they can control and whatnot. So
awesome. Trying to figure out how to do that really is going to be the key, I would imagine. Like, do you go into outdoor lighting? And there's probably tons of growth for that here in the Bryan College Station area. But anyways, so this is going to take us into our lightning round. So there's one rule for the lightning round is that you have a minute or less to answer each question. You ready, Bret?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So what is your favorite personal hack, book, or podcast?
Let's go with my personal podcast. There's one called The Contractor Fight by Tom Reber. It's super awesome. And he talks about, kind of like David Flint, like knowing your worth as a contractor, charging what you're worth and setting the bar like high. So I'd encourage anybody in construction or really anything, check that one out.
Bret, what is your favorite business hack, book, or podcast?
There's a book called The Proximity Principle. It's by Ken Coleman, and he talks about basically you're the average of your 5 closest people that you hang out with. I think a lot of people hear that all the time, and man, the proximity principle is real, and that kind of ties right into not what you know, but who you know. The Aggie network, man, it's massive. You never know who you're going to meet and talk to, and if you want to elevate, yourself, your business, elevate your circle. I highly recommend proximity principle.
Love it, Bret. What is the favorite advice that you've been given? And I'll give you 2017 points for how you actually applied it.
Oh, that's a lot of points. All right. Can I give 2 pieces of advice?
Bonus, baby.
There we go. I expect extra points for that. All right. So the first one was from one of my mentors. Man, he said, look, you can have more than one mentor. Take the good, leave the bad. Man, learn, continue to learn. That's how we learn from other people, their mistakes. Most people don't want you to fail. They don't want you to learn that same mistake that they've done. And so I'd say definitely reach out, ask the hard questions or the dumb questions. The second one would be from a college professor, Dr. Escamilla. He said, hey, there's good, fast, and cheap. You want something done? If it's good and fast, it's not going to be cheap. You get 2 out of the 3. And so, and you can reverse that in any order. If it's fast and good, it's probably not cheap. I think I said that same way backwards. But yeah, that's it.
Well, Bret, how can we get in touch with you? How can the Aggie Growth Hacks family support you? And then a follow-on question: when is the best time to talk to you about Christmas Lights 2024?
Oh, okay, all right. So we are on pretty much all social media. I would say LinkedIn is a good one. Bret Redfearn. You can look us up at Aggieland Christmas Lights. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Shoot, we even have a Pinterest page. Not a whole lot going on there yet, but if you're building a brand, you want to claim those sites. Yeah, that's or right. Even just our website or our phone number. If you reach out, I will get back in touch with you. And the best time to get, I say, involved in or even thinking about Christmas lights is like as soon as possible, because we literally start hanging lights in September, which is crazy to think.
Wow,
crazy. But when you've got volume of clients and people want certain things, we gotta get these lights up. So
yeah, and that's interesting because my neighbors on November 1st turned their lights on, but they had them put up well before that.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, right? I mean, you've got supply and demand, and when you're busy, you've got to get in touch with you a lot earlier, right? So July 4th, basically, they need to be getting in touch with you.
Hey, yeah, Christmas in July. We love it. With those color changing bulbs, man, you can just leave them up all year round. We can throw you some flamingos in the yard.
Nice.
It'd be perfect. And so we're good with that.
Love it. Well, Bret, thank you so much for coming on Aggie Growth Hacks. We really appreciate everything that you've shared with us today, and just for coming and sharing all of your knowledge.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate McFerrin for putting on EBV with Reynolds and Reynolds and having us come out. Have learned a lot, have a lot to learn, and just look forward to it. So appreciate you guys.
Well, how about that, Ags? Was that pretty awesome or what? I know that I took a lot of notes down and had a lot of things that I took away from that. But what's your favorite takeaway there, Greg?
Well, we obviously met Bret at the EBV, and I love talking with veteran entrepreneurs and just relay and understanding how they've equated their military service to entrepreneurship. And I think almost to a man and woman, they've said that it is about organizing the chaos that's around you. But I really appreciate how Bret talked about just adapting to the challenges that are in front of you, improvising a solution, because just like in the military, in entrepreneurship and business, we don't have all the time, the people, the money, the resources, the equipment to get a job done. But that doesn't mean we don't get the job done. And then overcoming that and saying, okay, what does it take? And it's just that grit and that mentality that the military instills in the service members that he's applying to entrepreneurship. That every time I hear that, it just gets me, and it's something that I focus in on and appreciate. What about you, Chris?
I 100% agree with you on that, but I would say that my biggest takeaway is where he said that you need to have more than one mentor, right? Because and I 100% agree with that, because in all sorts of books and pretty much any business entrepreneurial book that you read, they talk to you about having your network and having multiple people around you that serve as your advisory board, essentially, right? People that you can bounce ideas off of. And, I've been fortunate enough to join a network, a mastermind group that, 450 other, agency owners just like myself, because entrepreneurship is a really lonely road, right? And if you don't surround yourself with people that you can bounce ideas off of, it's going to be a long, lonely road, right?
Yeah.
And so, I have that same type of network where I have tons of mentors. I have people that are where I want to be, where I want to grow my business. And it's important to know the things that you should avoid, right? More than anything. And really, hey, dummy, stop doing that and do this over here, right?
Yeah.
So that was my biggest takeaway. Have more than one mentor. I love that.
And I love what he said right after that is take the good and leave the bad. And it might be good advice for somebody else, but if it's not how you look at business or whatever, then you don't have to follow it. No matter if that's your mentor or not. But that was super powerful. I really like that. Well, Ags, that's going to do it for this episode of Aggie Growth Hacks. We hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that you are thinking about your Christmas exterior illumination right now and reaching out to Bret on everything, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest. I haven't been on Pinterest in years, but reach out to him and he will be able to talk to you, nerd out about your Christmas decorations and be able to help any way that he can. When you're on the web, make sure that you connect with Chris and I, connect with Aggie Growth Hacks. Make sure you go to aggiegrowthhacks.com, where you can listen to this episode as well as all of our previous episodes and other great content.
We want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M University. Since 1999, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship has served as the hub of entrepreneurship at Texas A&M. If you're an Aggie entrepreneur or even a wantrepreneur, head on over to their website to find a program that's right for you. Just go to aggiegrowthhacks.com/McFerrin right now. Well, Ags, join us next time when we connect with another great Aggie entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter.
And I'm Greg Martin. Thanks and gig 'em.